Alright guys, today is back, hips, and thighs and pants. So we're talking this area. I've gone ahead and gotten basic shape there. Now of course she looks really long through here because I don't have the line for her pants across there at the moment. After I do all the muscles and all the, just shaping in here, then I'll go ahead and put the line in. Right now, I've carved it off. I'll have to smooth everything out here in a second. And it takes the best sculpting tool that I have, which is this. Well, and this one too. Just to smooth all these things down. But I need to come in right there. So let me go ahead and do that. Let's see. Before I smooth everything down, at least. It's just a tiny bit, but I think it's about right. I would have her stomach come in more here, but since she's hunched over, you need to keep, that little bit there. You know what? I can actually put a little bit of an indentation there, just not too much of one. There we go, just a tiny bit. Now when I do the pants, I'm going to be actually making a waistband that will go over what I finish. So I have to keep that in mind, that that's going to add a little bit of thickness there. Okay, let's start smoothing this out. I'll go ahead and get a little bit of the indentation going here in her back, because you have a line right down there where your back indents in, and then I have to work the muscles out from there. But for now, we just want to get it smooth so that we can see what we're working with. Turn on the side light. That will give me a little bit better view of some of it. You have to keep using light from different angles to be able to find the flaws. Okay, I'm going to give myself a little registration mark here at the middle of her back so that I know that that's where the midline is. There we go. Just a little tiny dot, and that will let me know where this line needs to come, which I think I will go ahead, put a little bit of it in there. So now I have to decide, because of where her stomach sits, just have to decide how this should shape, because right now it doesn't look quite right. It's close. I think I need to shave a little bit off there. I'm back, and wanted to show you, since I'm working on the back, I have references up on the TV back there. Here, let me focus on them so that I can get the musculature correct. it back to here. Here we go. Start cutting in some muscle and stuff. And it should come down to right above where the pants line would be, because then it comes back out. So there's a muscle that runs right down here. So we're going to bring that in. And we don't want it to be too exaggerated. I mean, she's not a bodybuilder or anything, but she's also slender enough that you can see the muscle underneath. And some of these muscle things will be accented with paint as well. This is just giving me, like I said, the canvas to work on. What we're going to do is smooth this down a little bit, but not get rid of too much of what I do. And then I'm going to go in with mineral spirits and smooth all of it, just kind of surface, to see where we're at. Now we want to add in we'll just call them I don't know, dimples that slender people have. Now some of this is going to get covered up by the waistband, but you still want to put them in for anything that's peeking out over the waistband. And of course material is stretched across here, so it's not like I'm going to be, you know, sculpting a butt just to cover it with material, because there's no point in that. The material stretches across and flattens out, but still has a bit of a curve in, which is what I need to do here. Because didn't figure y'all would want to see the references of butts on the screen. Well, some of you might, but you don't get to. I think actually I need to add a little bit near the top, because all the girls exercise, so they do have muscle. Anybody thinking, why are you showing us sculpting this particular area? It's because some of the people watching this are sculptors, and they look at it as working on all the areas you have to work on when you sculpt. So that is why I am showing it. You know what, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the top off. And that way we can get a little more light and see these areas a little better, because the arm was blocking some of the light coming across. And you want all these variations, because if it's too smooth, it just starts looking like a Barbie doll. And you don't want that. You want it to look like a person. Now eventually we're going to want to make sure that this is extremely smooth, because we don't want her to have cottage cheesy butt, you know. Okay, now the waistband I make for this to go across here is going to be very, very thin so that it will contour to some of the muscle shapes. Not too much, but the pants material that she wears is not real thick. So, trying to make sure it's the right, that it captures the right look and feel of the material of the pants. So now, just to kind of smooth the whole thing out, I'm going to be using mineral spirits, although let me make sure we are down here that everything's centered. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take some mineral spirits, run it over this whole thing, and it will smooth the clay out and give us an idea of where we're at. Alright guys, we are to the stomach area. I've got here, I'll go ahead and show you basically. There are my references, and that's just, some of them are exaggerated stomachs, but it gives me a better look at the muscle shapes. Alright, I had decided not to do the mineral spirits yet. I'm going to go ahead and do the stomach and all first. I'll get to the wrinkles in the pants after I do all the skin. So we want to give her a decent stomach, because in some of the pictures you can see that they've got nice abs. So we are going to give her nice abs. Because if I gave her the choice, I would imagine she would pick that over just a kind of, nondescript stomach. And like I say, we're not going to go real exaggerated. She's not a bodybuilder. We're just trying to get back when we were all 18 and we're still in good shape, which was a long time ago for me. This is where years of doing photography and being a photo retoucher for models and having been married to a woman that was built almost exactly like Allie for 10 years gives me a little bit of good perspective. I guess it gives me a leg up on, trying to get the shapes right. And too, I started drawing when I was very, very young. And like all teenage boys, enjoyed drawing women. And since I was doing that all of the time, and I liked the naked women at the time, my mother actually got me a subscription to Playboy when I was maybe 14 or 15, because she said if I was going to be drawing naked women all the time, I might as well have better references and get them right. So I can't say I ever complained about that little decision. Alright, so we are to the point now where I am going to paint mineral spirits on here to try and smooth down some of the just little high spots and things like that. It'll soften the clay and allow it to move around. It'll also get rid of a little bit of the shininess of the clay, to where we can also get a little more of the way the light plays across it when it's more of a matte look. See, this doesn't so much change the contours as it does just smooth the surface. But if you press into it hard enough, you can alter the contours slightly. Alrighty. I can actually live with that pretty well. So let's put the top on it, see how it looks. Zoom out a little. I think I need to diminish these muscles slightly. We're diminishing the severity of the dip there because the pants pull straight across it, so. Alright, well, we're getting there. Alrighty. Kinda like it. I might need to come out a little wider with these. Alright, we'll be able to tell when we get the pants on. Or the tops of the pants, I should say. Now I'm just smoothing down the brush strokes. Now this smoothing will be a constant thing of putting on mineral spirits, trying to get the smoothest thing here, and then I will probably sand a little bit to get the smoothest I can where the material is stretched the tightest. There we go. Stick this back on here because I'm going to start laying out the top of the pants here in a minute. And I want to make sure I'm in the right position. Going to go ahead and cut the waistband to go at the top of the pants. And I'm going to do it out of the really hard clay because I want it to hold up to being able to be put on and taken off. Alright, let's find out if this is the right width. No, actually it's pretty close. Her pants draw down in the back when she crouches. But we want to have them fairly even coming back up. Alright, that's about the way her pants fit in the back from the shots I've seen. Or you know how high up they sit. Basically right now I'm working on everything below the shirt. Because the head, well, I figure I can cover more ground down here for the moment and try and get this sculpted or molded, because this is going to be the hardest mold most likely. I mean, the head will be a little tricky, but the pants and everything, it's such a big piece that I'm going to have to do a new thing and do a paint on mold and then an encasement that goes around it. It'll be a new thing for me. guys, I'm going to stop there for the moment on the upper pants and let this harden back up so I can go in and do some smoothing and a little indenting without it making a bunch of clay come up on top. As I'm sure you saw through that whole thing. And then I will add in belt loops that she has on her pants there. And there's also some lines that come down that will meet up with lines on top of the pants that go across here. So now I'm going to move on to the legs. Alright, so as you can see, there are little nicks and indentations all through this leg. And I really need for it to be much smoother. See the little bits where I've rubbed clay, you can see that. Okay, there we go, you can see across the back. Every bit of this needs to be smooth. Now it'll have little indentations of, you know, where it curves in and things, but the actual surface needs to be much smoother, like right in here. So there's different ways to do this. So one thing to do is take this tool here and you can run it across the top and you can start to see you're not taking a whole lot off. You're just trying to take off enough to where when you get down past the indentations, it will just glide over. This is just step one. You do this, then I can do the mineral spirits and paint on there and smooth out a little bit more, and then the last step would be to sand it. Of course, you have to wait till it's totally hard. You know, you don't want to be messing with it beforehand and get it soft. You need for it to be harder clay at that point. And then once it's hardened up and you can sand it, you just sand it with a really fine sandpaper to give it a glossy, well, not a glossy, but a smooth finish. Work there. But now this is going to be a multi-stage kind of thing. It's not going to all happen in one pass and it'd be perfect. I still have this sanding phase to go after this dries, and in that case I can take care of little things like that little bump. But you can see it's a lot better than it was. So I went through and did some smoothing on the back side and this leg, and if you see, still not perfect. Even with scraping it down, doing a couple of passes at it with mineral spirits, still little variations all through it. You would be amazed how hard it is to get all of this stuff out. Now I think the front of the pants actually looks pretty good, so at least I got that going for me. I need to put a little indentation right there. Every time you think you're done, there's always a little bit more to do. My sister had that problem with this. I would get something to where it looked good. Well, it looked good, but it didn't look great. But she would think it was good enough and wonder why I kept messing with it. But you keep messing with it because it keeps getting better. I did work on the back and the stomach some. I don't know if you can see the stomach's actually coming out pretty nice. The back is getting smoother. And the back doesn't have to be perfectly smooth because skin and muscle is not perfectly smooth. But, you know, I'll get it a little smoother than what it is. I'll probably do sanding on top of that eventually. Let me smooth this with my hand where it catches the light a little better. Because once you get it to a certain point, if you run over it with your fingers, it will smooth the surface of it and allow it to catch the light. Let me show you a little something I'm going to do now that is hard to do but has to be done. Alright, let me show you what I'm going to be doing. The soles, you know, the bottom part of the shoe, I need to make, you know, like on here you can see the underside of the tread. And then on the other one, you'll see the cutouts of the tread on the side. So these need to be formed. What I need to do is go ahead and cut these off at the bottom of the actual shoe part on both feet, and then I will do these out of the hard clay, because whenever you set it down on here it tends to splay out because it's soft. I'll do these out of the hard clay, and that will allow me to put them back on or do them as a separate mold, but I've got to make sure that they have the right contours and the right size, and it'll also let me match the feet size, because then this will bend up, you know, just like it would, but it should be the same size as the other one when it's sitting down. So I am going to work on that probably next, because I think the last thing I'll do is smooth these legs out, because once they're smooth I need to be about ready to go ahead and start doing a mold of it so that I don't end up messing it up. It's really hard to have things to a certain point and then have to go through and like cut them open or do whatever you got to do, you know. Okay, let's see if that will allow that to come off. Okay, and then I need to put something under there to hold it up that's about the height. That will hold that up. By the way, there is where I cut my thumb by not paying enough attention and coming back at myself when I was cutting this way. Just stupidity. But, you know, those things happen. So now I can take that and go ahead and carve it out of harder clay. And to be honest, I'm not, like horribly determined that all the lines are going to be perfect, but on the finished one, I will probably be more of a stickler for it.